Good morning, everyone. We are live from Houston, Texas. Today is Monday, June 25th, and this is show number 45. It looks like I have a black eye, but I don't know why. Anyway, no, the other side. I don't have a black eye, I promise. Anyway, welcome back, everybody. Wow, took a whole week off. That was really fun. I figured after 44 shows, I might as well take a week off, right? So that was fun because I got to do other things. The show's at the same time every day, and so I have to schedule everything around that time because there's the getting ready for the show and then the cleanup after the show. So it was kind of fun, shake things up a little bit. But welcome, everyone. And Julie was here before the show started. Thank you for coming in, Julie. It's good to see you. Good morning, Ruthie's Crafting Corner. You were here before the show also. So that's right. Oh, good morning, Cheryl from the Woolen Hook. It's good to see you. Good morning. Good morning, Sandra. Oh, wow, lots of people showing up. Thanks for all the thumbs up already. I appreciate it. You have such high hopes for the show. I appreciate that very, very much. Oh, gosh, the week, it didn't start off real pretty because it was so rainy. I don't know if you saw any of the images. If you're not in Texas, did you see the images of all the rain we got? We got way too much rain. Luckily, once again, my house it's kind of in Houston. It's at a higher elevation in Houston. It's not on a hill. We don't have hills here, but luckily I'm just high enough that I'm not getting any of the raining or the I was going to say the drowning issues, which that is an issue too, the flooding issues. But I do have one little spot in my yard that tends to give me grief. I think it gets clogged with dog hair. So I have to go out there and make sure it stays clear. But, well, we're back. I'm happy to be back. The cleanup from the rain I finished all the cleanup. Sandra says the radar you showed on Instagram were scary. Yes, they were very scary, and it wouldn't leave. It wasn't a named storm, but it was definitely a tropical storm, and it had the rotation. Once it got onto land, got up further into land, you could really see when you zoomed out from the radar that it was rotating quite a bit. But, that's the joy of living on the coast. Good morning, Cindy. Nice to see you. And Julie said, Tropical Storm Drew. No, they haven't named one after me yet. Oh, good morning, Jolene. Jolene is not at sea level, so she doesn't have to worry about the flooding from the storms. So lucky Jolene. The cleanup really with me is more to do with the pool because it gets so messy. We have lots of trees in this neighborhood. So whenever there's any stormy activity, so much debris gets blown into the pool. But I don't have to fill it for a couple days because the rain did it for me. So that's saving some money. But Julie says, don't you have a pool boy? Right here. I'm the pool boy. My friend April said her husband could come over and be the pool boy, but he refuses. Well, the thing about cleaning the pool is it's a lot of work, and I'm considering a pool boy because that's all that whole automate and delegate thing. But it's also a really good excuse to get outdoors, get in the sun a little bit, exercise a little bit. It's a good source of exercise to clean the pool because there are a lot of steps. Well, there are a lot of steps, but there are also a lot of steps in cleaning it. But I enjoy it, and I get to go outside. Lots of vitamin D, Jolene says. Yes, vitamin D. I've been doing research on vitamin D recently because a friend of mine was worried that he wasn't getting enough vitamin D. So he asked me to come up with some advice on that. What I discovered was vitamin D, you can get no matter what latitude, no matter how high up you are in the world, you have much shorter days the further north you get, right? No matter where you are able to get enough vitamin D just from the sun. But you have to go outside for about 20 minutes, 3 days a week between the hours of 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. If you're able to accomplish that and not be covered up, you know, you have to have exposure of your skin to the sun. If you can do that 3 days a week, you get enough vitamin D. Uh, Factors that factor into that, of course, is how darkly pigmented your skin is. Do you wear sunscreen? Jolene just said sunscreen, but the article I read, I think it was the Mayo Clinic, the article I read said um, the way we put on sunscreen, we don't cover ourselves that well. And so sunscreen does stop you from producing vitamin D from the sun, but not as well as you think it is. You used to get lots of vitamin D with the sunscreen, so because we don't put it on as well as we should. But that's good, right? Because we need the vitamin D. Other sources are fortified foods, but even the fortified foods don't give you that much vitamin D. They mandated it back in the 1930s. We had rickets. We had a problem with rickets, which are because of a lack of vitamin D. And so they mandated that they add vitamin D to milk and cereal so that kids would get more vitamin D in their diet. But that mandate, I think, is now voluntary. So if you look at boxes of cereal or if you look at milk, there's really not that much vitamin D in it. So you don't want to rely on milk or cereal for vitamin D intake. Best thing to do is go out in the sun. The second best thing you can do is eat wild caught cold water fish. So wild caught salmon, halibut, cod, scrod, sardines, and tuna all have much higher levels. But if the best source of vitamin D you can get is cod liver oil. I'm just old enough to remember it. It was not good. So anyway, you could get that too from cod liver oil. Or you can take a vitamin D supplement, but contact your healthcare provider, your doctor, because you can OD on vitamin D. It's fat soluble, so it builds up. So you don't want to get too much vitamin D. So check with get your numbers tested. But get outdoors 3 days a week, 20 minutes between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. You'll be fine. Jolene says, yay for medical professionals. Yes, we need you, Jolene. Jolene's in the medical field, as is her very lucky husband. So I saw lots of things go past, get caught up here. Julie says 11 watching. Yeah, we're up to 12 watching. Woohoo! Yes, please click it. Click that thumbs up. I really appreciate it. Thank you for the reminder, Julie. Ruthie says sometimes our bodies don't absorb it well. Yes, that's the other thing with vitamin D, is depending on age and ethnicity and your diet. You need to, that's why you have to get your numbers run by a healthcare professional. It's really easy to get your numbers run. It's really easy to find out if you have a vitamin D deficiency. If you don't have one, then you're doing everything right. Symptoms I read about vitamin D deficiency is your bones get cold, which I've had that before. It's weird when your bones are cold. So bones getting cold could be a sign of it. And you need all those numbers to be balanced, because if your magnesium isn't balanced correctly, then you can't absorb the vitamin D. And if you drink coffee, then your body can't absorb iron. So you could have an iron deficiency no matter what you're eating, even if because you're drinking coffee. Oh, that's one of the things I wanted to tell you. Thank you for your patience for taking this week off from the live shows, because one of the things I wanted to do is detox from coffee. And nobody wants to see that in public. It's so miserable to go through the coffee withdrawals. But I did it successfully. I haven't had coffee now for almost a week, and I feel so much better. Sleeping so much better. I'm absorbing iron, which I really, really like. But this is not pretty when I'm detoxing. One of the things about when you get off coffee, when you stop, you get a really bad headache usually. And one thing to remember is that headache is the blood returning to your brain. I'm just saying. I like blood in my brain, so I got off coffee. I usually get off it during Lent, even though I'm not Catholic. I always do Lent every year. And I get, you know, I start drinking it again, and it's like, why did I start again? Because it's such an addictive drug. Feel so much better when I don't drink coffee. So Julie says her husband is an excellent nurse. That's wonderful. Yay! Maggie from Heirloom Academy is here. Remember, she's the author of that amazing book, Meditarian, that I reviewed a couple weeks ago now. Anyway, hi Maggie. I'm glad you're here. Julie says he's a traveling nurse, which is nice for you over the weekend. Does that mean it's like a mancation? I like those. Tamaya came into the studio. Hi, Tamaya. I wish you could see her, but she's down there. Hi, baby girl. Oh, she's so happy and wiggly. Anyway, Maggie says she does one and done with the beer. You can do one and done with coffee. No, Maggie, it's all or nothing with coffee. And decaf doesn't count either, because the problem with coffee is that when you roast the coffee beans before you brew it, the roasting process releases over 125 chemicals that are bad for you. So even if you're drinking decaf, all those chemicals are still there. So unfortunately, if you're wanting to avoid the bad parts of coffee, decaf doesn't work. So any intake of coffee tends to, and the other problem is, and I know this is a bigger problem even with the ladies, is because iron deficiency is such a big issue because our food supply isn't really supplying it like it should. And if you have an iron deficiency, drinking coffee disallows your body from absorbing any iron you are taking in. So I have my tea. Yeah, Cheryl from the Woolen Hook says I'll risk it. Yeah, that's what most people say. But I like sleeping deeply, and this is the thing. Once I get off coffee, this is literally what happens. I am completely awake, and when I lay down because it's time to go to bed, I fall asleep instantly. And when the alarm goes off in the morning and it's time to wake up, I just go boing. Much to the chagrin of everyone around me, it's just instant awake. There's no, oh, I got to get out of bed and I got to go to work and, you know, all that. Dragging in the morning disappears instantly. So, Julie says, I love the taste of coffee. I do too. I drink chai tea, and for some reason it doesn't taste like coffee, but chai really kind of is reminiscent. So I like the chai. Maggie says the most common symptom of iron deficiency is feeling cold all the time. Thank you, Maggie. That's good to know. I've gone through that. I've gone through where I couldn't get warm, and I wonder if that's what it was. Ruthie said, I was just going to ask if you drink tea. Yes, I drink tea. I tend to drink green tea because I like green tea and I like to put things in it. Kristen from Yarn on the Beach podcast, Kristen puts slices of ginger in her tea just to give it some kick. And I started trying that this week and it's really, really good. So I'll take some green tea and I like to add stuff into it, lemon or slices of ginger now. Thank you, Kristen, for such a great idea. It tastes so good. Anyway, so got the rain cleaned up. I got my new attack plan ready to go for the week. I'm very excited. Last week it got all jumbled because I was trying to get caught up on some stuff. So I'm very excited. I need to clean some windows. You know, I wash windows every 3 days because that way I can rotate around the house in about 6 weeks. So the windows all stay nice and clean. A quip I made on Instagram, if you follow me on Instagram, is I showed, I think, the radar, and I said, this is why my house is covered in algae. It's because it's so, it's because I posted a picture. We often have 100% humidity here, and the algae just grows on everything. So if I don't wash windows all the time, they get a film of green algae on them. It's like living inside a terrarium. We have endless summer, which is nice. No shoveling. But that algae, oh my gosh, it's a constant cleanup. I just realized over the week that the pool deck needs some type of deep cleaning because there's so much black algae on it, which doesn't look pretty, but there's so much black algae on it, it's now slippery. It's slick. If it gets wet, it's slick like ice. So Jolene can't get past the flavor of tea, so she's not a fan. Well, I can understand that. You should only drink what tastes good, of course. Oh, Julie, okay, go by. Go. She has to go concentrate on her job. Okay. I'm glad you're here too, Julie. Um, oh, Kristen says that ginger is good for energy too. Yes, that's right. Ginger is very good. Jolene says, "Am I going to power wash or just the hose?" That's a good question, Jolene. See, with a pool deck, it's concrete that's been treated. It's got a film on top of it, a textured film that helps reduce the heat retention about 70%. And so the deck doesn't get super hot to your, I'm more worried about the dogs, honestly. I don't want their little tootsies to get burned. So because of that, I can't use a power washer because it'll void the warranty because that layer could get peeled off. And the hose isn't good enough because it's algae. So I picked up a product about a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, and I'll do a video using it. It'll be like a test product. You mix it, you dilute it, and I think it's considered eco-friendly, but it's safe for plants and pets, which is really important to me. And you spray it on and you let it sit for like a half hour and then you hose it off, maybe use a stiff brush. I'm hoping that'll get some of that algae off. Another thing you could do if you have a pool, you need to shock your pool, which is you use this real concentrated chlorine to elevate the chlorine levels in your pool. It's a powder. You can mix up that powder in some water. So it's really, really strong chlorine essentially. And you can spread that over your pool deck or your driveway. And that should help also, but it hasn't been working for me, so I'm pulling out the big guns. On the house, they have, Jolene wants to know, what about on the house? Well, on the house, they actually have some, thing is the house is so hard to do because there's so many nooks and crannies, and you have to get up on a ladder. So there's another product out there that says, oh, hey, aloha, Paula. Paula's one of my vacation friends. Anyway, let me finish. There's a product on the market that's anti-algae that you can spray on the house and it cleans it, but it also prevents algae too. I think I have some still. I'll throw that product into my Amazon page. There's a link to that, of course, in my show description. But Paula is here and she said aloha because she's one of my vacation friends. I make really, really fun friends on vacation. Since I never leave the house because I work at home, I have so few friends here in Houston. I have some very good friends here in Houston, but I have very few. But I have friends all over the world that I've met on vacation. Paula and her sisters were on my vacation to Hawaii a couple years ago. And I'm so shy, and they were like the cool kids on the vacation. They were real popular, and everyone was having fun with them. And oh, the sisters, and so I was too shy to talk to them. Then, like 2 days before they left the vacation, we started having fun together, and I regretted the 5 days before that I hid from them. Anyway, Jolene says delegate that out. No ladders. Yeah, ladders are really good for your glutes and your thighs, though, and your calves. So it's really good exercise. So I try to do what I can if it's going to help me stay healthier. But that spray stuff I was talking about, you hook it to your hose and you can spray it from the ground floor. So that, yeah, no ladders. Maggie says, I use newspapers to wash the windows with dish soap. That's a really good idea. Vinegar works really good for that too. Maggie knew my mom because I went to high school with Maggie. Mom used vinegar for everything. She was very adamant that vinegar was the best cleaner out there. Yeah, I did hide from, Paula says, hid from them. You weren't scary. You were so much fun. And I was so intimidated because everyone thinks I'm fun, but I'm really not as much fun as people think I am. So I was afraid to say hi, but I'm so glad I did. Yeah, she was the best mom ever. I agree, Maggie. Your mom's pretty cool too, but I miss my mom. So anyway, oh, before I forget, if you remember, some of you were here a few weeks ago, and I gave you my tips and tricks on how to freshen a stinky disposal. And what I discovered is I'm 45 shows into this live show, and I discovered that stuff is, valuable information that people might still want it's getting lost. And so what I did is I downloaded that live show about the stinky disposals. I can't remember who asked the question about it. Was it Trevor? Captain Trevor comes to mind. But anyway, and I re-edited it and I put it back up on my YouTube channel in a playlist called Tips and Tricks. So if you want to review that video about stinky disposals, there's now a new video just with that. You know, I just edited out those tips and tricks, not all the other stuff that was on the show that day is all gone now. So you can just see those tips and tricks. So check that playlist out. If you go to the channel, there's like a list of playlists there. And so in the future, I'm excited because in the future, if there's any tips and tricks that that seem to be valuable, I'm gonna, pull those out and put them there so that we don't lose that information. Because I want to make sure you all get your questions answered. And if you forget, you can go back and review the video. And of course, share it with your friends. Anyway, so yeah, I wanted to make sure I brought that up. Jolene, Jolene, I follow Jolene on social media, and she had a really good point that she made because they're currently renters, and I know they've rented a few different places, is when you rent a place, you're usually in charge of mowing the lawn. I mean, rarely do you get that included in the... In fact, I remember when I was going to rent a place in Michigan before I moved down here, every place I looked, it said you must own a lawnmower because they expect you to mow the lawn. And the point she made on social media the other day is really good, is when you're looking at a house, if you're going to rent it or to buy it, you have to look to see, can you get your lawnmower from the front yard to the backyard? And while Houston's extremely flat, so many parts of the country aren't. And so you have to decide, am I going to lug the lawnmower up to the backyard? Or are you going to have a lawnmower in the front yard and one for the backyard you just leave there? Which is really unlikely, right? So keep that in mind when you're looking at a place to rent. Thank you for such a great tip, Jolene. How are you going to get the lawnmower from the front to the back? And if you can, then push forward. Welcome back, Cindy. We missed you. Charles, so good to see you, Captain Charles. Charles is here in Houston. Mow the lawn and get your vitamin D. I actually have a lawn service that that does my front yard because it's real big and it's got real deep ditches and it's really hard to do. So I have a lawn service. They don't charge very much. But my little courtyard yard, where the Labradors do their business, I mow that myself. Very proud of myself. I have this little itsy bitsy tiny electric lawnmower, and it's real lightweight and I can store it real easily. But the yard that they use to do their business needs to be mowed regularly. In Houston, especially, I could mow the lawn twice a week. It grows that fast. So, oh, Jolene, I love you too. That's very sweet. Thank you. Yes, getting outdoors to get your vitamin D. Remember, 20 minutes, 3 times a week between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. and you'll have plenty of vitamin D in your system. That's good. Maggie says if it's a huge lawn, you don't want to work that hard. Well, also Maggie mentioned the other day, which is a really good point. Her dad planted like a ground cover around the house so they don't have to mow it anymore. That's really a solution too because it uses less water. And a lot of us in a lot of parts of the country need to be careful about how much water we use. So planting, I think you said it was myrtle, right, Maggie? Anyway, something real low it's green, but you don't have to water or mow it. That's really nice. Jolene said getting the mower down the steps was easy. Up was the huge workout. I can only imagine. Mowers can be heavy. When I very first bought this house, I bought a rechargeable mower, and it worked really great. I could do the whole yard on one charge. It was real powerful. It lasted a long time, but it was super, super heavy. The battery was so heavy. So keep that in mind how heavy your lawnmower is. Hi, Jan. Good to see you. I'm glad to be back. I'm glad you're here too. Hey, KB's here. Good afternoon, KB. I'm always happy to see you too. Um, Maggie said it was periwinkle. Was it a pretty shade of periwinkle? I always forget that Maggie and I have so many inside jokes from high school that I still use, but nobody gets because Maggie's not here. People often look at me strange, but you know, I like a good inside joke. Jan has a condo, no yard work. Yeah, you know, that's one of the nice parts about living in a shared community is you should, you know, like yard work gets shared, like, you know, maintenance fees and stuff. Oh, you know, a friend of mine moved to a really nice place and they have a gorgeous pool and she doesn't have to clean it because it's part of the maintenance fee. Maggie says it's Vinca minor. So if you're looking for a ground cover, an English ivy ground cover that doesn't climb, because climbing can damage walls. You know, their little tentacles get in your nooks and crannies of your house and can do a lot of damage. KB has an acre of property and she can do whatever she wants. Whatever. She does what she wants. Good for you, KB. You know, when retirement comes, which is, I'm pushing that off as far as possible. Anyway, when retirement comes, I want to look for a place with property because I think living in the city has a lot of benefits. Like I can order Uber Eats and it's literally like having room service in my house to hundreds and hundreds of gourmet restaurants, and it's so much fun. But I'd rather have a garden that's big and chickens. Hi, Angela. Good to see you. Angela's here in Texas. Good to see you, Angela. Did you get a lot of rain, Angela? We were on the verge of a real serious drought. You know, the drought, I know other areas have a drought, but it was encroaching on this area of the country. And these rains from that tropical storm really helped tremendously with our rain levels. Okay, everyone, it's so good to see you. I'm back. We'll be here, you know, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Central. 11 thumbs up. I appreciate it. 14 people here. You 3 people know who you are. Please give this video a thumbs up and share it if you're enjoying it. Subscribe and ring the notification bell if you want to be alerted when I go live. You never know, I might go live at a different time. So, and also remember I put up a new video Friday. So if you didn't get an alert that I put up a new video in my tips and tricks playlist, that means you haven't rung that little notification bell. So be sure to do that too. Okay, you know what? Maggie, Jan, Charles, Captain Charles, just because you're in charge of the house doesn't mean you have to do everything. Automate and delegate whenever possible. If you want to read about that, there's a blog post on my website, and there's a link in the show description about automate and delegate. I think you really, really need to stop doing everything so that you have time to have fun on the weekends. Go outside and get your vitamin D. Okay, say it with me, everyone. No matter what life throws at me, I have the ability to make this a fantastic day. All right. Love you guys. I'm so glad to be back. It's so good to see you all. See you tomorrow at the same time. Bye.